Hi guys, it's Granny Tanner speaking. Welcome to this Manor Lords update video. The huge update has finally come for all players. I already told you about the 2 updates for beta testing, and now everything should be fine and the update has been released for everybody. So what do you need to do to get this update? If you have always played on the main branch, so without beta testing, then you don't need to do anything. If you have the settings set to update automatically. And if you don't have this, you will know how to get the update. Because the normal setting is update automatically. Then the new version of Manor Lords will be installed by Steam automatically for you. And if you have been playing with the beta testing version, then you need to go back to the normal branch. So you have to go to the settings of your game in Steam and deactivate the beta branch and go back to the normal branch, and then it will update automatically. So it's quite easy. Yeah, and the changes of the new update are, so to say, both of the updates for the beta testing combined, and I didn't spot anything really new that hasn't been in the beta testing. So maybe we just go and have a look at the patch notes. And it's a lot. And if you played on the beta testing branch, then this is not so new for you, all the changes. But if you always played on the normal branch, then you have a lot of new features. So we just have a look at the images and how long it is, and I'll put a link in the description below this video to this website. It's available directly in the Steam clients if you go to the Manor Lords page, and then you can get this too, or on a website. And it's a lot. So I won't read everything to you, and I won't talk about all the little tiny changes, because the developer has been really busy. Yeah, and changes are about nearly every aspect of the game. For example, here we got mourning. When someone dies while fighting, the family mourns for a month, and then no new family members come, and the corpses will be carried from the fighting area, and more armor variations, and we got taxes. But first they were terrible, and now they are less high, they are better, and we got some optical changes, for example with the door of the granary building, and quite a lot of changes in the fighting area, and with the marketplace, and with trading. And yeah, and we got a new lady. Before we only had this fancy guy with his very special shoes and this red cape, and even when playing as a woman. And now if you play as the green woman, then if you go to the visitor mode, you run around as this lady. We will see this in-game later. And here comes the full change log, and I just scroll through it because it's massive. It's just massive. But if you search for a special bug that or change that you want to have, or rather a bug repaired, then you can look and search for your personal favorite bug or feature and maybe find it here. The game is still not finished, it's still in early access, but they changed a lot. And I would say all those AAA game studios should have a look at this single guy, Greg, who is making all those changes before working on the release version and having a lot of work too. So it's not that he was lazy before the release, and sooner or later he will need holidays. He needs to recover from all this massive amount of work. Okay, here I have a bigger image of this new lady, and because in-game we always only see her from behind, and if we turn the landscape, then she turns with the landscape, and so, or no, with the she turns with the camera, and so we only see her very, very short from the front, but here you can see her from the front. I think I like her. Okay, so now let's go back. And I prepared a list of some of the features that I personally find most important. So a summary of important features. And I'll show you this list. And this is not so much, and I can read it to you. And then we go over all these aspects. And I'll show you in the game. So we got a King's Tax and a lot of changes with gameplay and balancing. And they eat random food now instead of cereal. And the farming got a lot of adjustments. For example, the farm oxen have their priority now on plowing, and you can have 2 oxen per farm. And the Sawpit can have 5 logs in storage and works much better. And a lot of balancing with the fighting. For example, the archer is much more powerful, and yeah, there is no more worker camp upgrade, and the trade got various changes. The ale consumption is lowered, and the trees grow slower, and the marketplace has been improved and got new features. And we have the female visitor. Okay, so let's have a look. First, the King's Tax. The most important thing you need to know is if you don't want to pay tax, you can deactivate the King's Tax when starting a new save game. But when you don't do this, you will have to pay taxes to the king, and they are here. The annual royal tax, and right now it works like that. In the first 5 years you don't need to pay any tax, and then from the 5th to the 10th year you need to pay 1 gold per inhabitant, and then from the 10th to 15 years 2 gold, and then every 5 years it's 1 gold per family or person more than before. And yeah, you can see it here, and then they write you have to pay so and so much bucks in so and so many days. And how to get the money to pay this tax, because you can't pay it with your regional wealth, you have to pay it with your treasury money, and you can get it through the manor. and through taxes. And here is the taxes area. And the land tax that you set is the one that goes to your treasury. So when you have 2%, 2% of your regional wealth is taken and put into your personal treasure. And here with 2%, the people are still happy and you don't have any problems. If you increase it, let's say just only to 3%, then you get one approval loss. And if it's more, let's say 13, then the approval loss is higher. So I go back to 2%, I want my people happy. And the teeth, or the tithe, I think it's called tithe, this has something to do with the church, and they take food from you and money, and it brings you more influence. So especially when you don't play with fighting, this is your way to get more influence, to get more regional areas. Because without fighting, this is hard to increase. So that's about the tax and your treasury and influence, and tax your own taxes. Okay, so now about the gameplay and balance changes. Let's go back to the village. And yeah, until now, when I say until now, I mean until now if you played on the normal branch without the beta testing. Because with the beta testing branch you already had all these changes. And yeah, so I speak for players that didn't made the beta test. Okay, so now, until now, each family, the eating of the family was more or less cereal. So they didn't eat their cereals like cornflakes. It was so they all started eating, let's say here, from first the meat and then the vegetables and so. And now it is random what they eat, to get this food stuff more smoothed out. So when each family always eat 1 unit of food per month, and now they choose between this month we eat berries, and the next month we eat eggs, and then we eat vegetables, so and so forth. And like that the food consumption is spread out. Yeah, and then we have a lot of changes in the farming department, and some of them are a little bit, oh, I can let it run, then we can watch the people running around. So let's say here, when we click on this, we have this possibility, force early harvest. And that was used by a lot of players because when sowing rather early, you got the maximum yield before the normal harvesting time. And then the yield dropped after this. And this was not realistic, and it forced players to force early harvest. And yeah, so as this is not realistic, the developer decided, okay, the yield goes up until 100%, and this is sometimes after the the sowing, and then it doesn't go down. So you don't need to make this forced early harvest only when the people are too hungry or so, and you fear for a famine and a lot of hunger in your village, then you can do this still, the forced early harvest, but not to optimize your yield. And on the other hand, the percentage of the yield doesn't go higher than 100%. And what is really important too with these farming houses, let's open this up, you have the possibility to hire oxen. And before it was like that, when you have this perk point here, this heavy plow perk point that you can get when your village grows, then you could update or upgrade the farmhouse. You get an icon here, and to have a plowing job or a job for an oxen in this farmhouse. And then when this is done, I have done it already, obviously, and therefore I don't have this icon anymore. And then you could hire one oxen, and this oxen is important for plowing, because when the people are doing the plowing manually, it takes forever and you need so many people. And when you have an oxen with a heavy plow, then it's much faster, the plowing. And so what I did in a different save game, I built several farmhouses just to have the possibility to hire more oxen. And now it's not needed anymore, at least not in this amount of farmhouses, because you can have 2 oxen. And here we have here they are. Now it's no more plowing time, therefore I could fire them, but we have enough oxen in this village. Okay, and before the oxen were working on transporting the harvest too, and then when they were plowing and there was something to transport, they ran there and transported one single unit of wheat and came back to plowing, and that's no more the case. So if there is something to plow, they do the plowing with the highest priority. And I think that helps the farming a lot. So now we go to the Sawpit. And as you can see, winter is coming. So this Sawpit was somehow problematic before in the main branch, because it was working too slow, in my opinion, and I think not only in my opinion. And the Sawpit has been increased in 2 points. We got an increased log storage. Before only 1 log could be stored there, and you need logs to saw the planks, and then the 1 log was used up for producing planks, and then the workers had to wait until the next log was delivered. And now we can store up to 5 logs there, and so we can have 1 guy that is running around with an oxen to bring the logs from the logging camp, and 1 other guy that is doing the sawing, and this is working quite nice. And they are much more productive. And because they are so productive now, I had to use this function with the construction reserve. That means the Sawpit is only working when there are at least 20 logs or 21 logs in the village. And the first 20 logs are reserved for construction, therefore it's called construction reserve. And then you can still build stuff even when the Sawpit is really busy working. And yeah, if you don't use this construction reserve with the new powerful Sawpit, then it can happen that they cut all the logs in planks, and you have a whole lot of planks but no more logs, and therefore this is a good idea to use this construction reserve. Okay, then there are quite a lot of changes with the fighting, and as I don't play with fighting, I can only tell you from what I read. So I think the most important change, I think, is with the archers. They are more powerful and you can use them again. And
Why do I have to carry this alone?
yeah, then I think there are less attacks by bandit camps or from the Baron in the beginning, and you get more. Yeah, best is you look it up in the patch notes, because maybe I could tell you something that is not correct. Yeah, but here we come back to something that I know. This is the first camp, the settlers camp, could be upgraded to a wooden settlers camp before. And yeah, that was meant if you settle on a new territory, then you can have a fast start for the first 5 families, and they don't feel so homeless. But it was used by players on the first territory, and then I think it was funny because I only heard about this possibility to upgrade the settlers camp when I read about the most common mistake that was done in Manor Lords, and that cost so much support because the people were making support tickets over and over again because their settlers wouldn't move into their new built houses. And if you upgrade this settlers camp to this wooden settlers camp, then your first 5 families wouldn't think on moving into your very nice new houses. Instead, other families needed to come, and they only came when you have more than 50 approval rate. And so a lot of players, they built the houses and the settlers wouldn't move in at all, and they were waiting and saying, oh, something is wrong, my settlers don't move in. And then they were writing a support ticket, and therefore they removed this possibility. And yeah, and I thought when I discovered it that it was a very nice feature, because with this feature you could have your 5 families happy, and when you build one house you already got a 6th family, and the second house you got a 7th family, and then when you had enough place and houses, then you could destroy the wooden settlers camp, and then everything was nice. But because of this huge amount of support questions, they removed this nice feature. Okay, and then we had quite a lot of changes in the trading area. So the most important is you can not only trade with the outside world, but with your other regions. So if you have more regions, then you can trade all this kind of goods with your other regions. And you can have this packing stations with the donkey. They still exist, but somehow they didn't work as good, because you always have to bring one stuff and get one other stuff, and for some things that is not working. And now you can make this trade. And so, for example, if you have one region with a rich deposit for clay, and then you produce a lot of roof tiles, and then you can import roof tiles, for example, from your other region, and you don't need to pay the extra expensive transport fee. Here you can see, if you sell it, you get $1 for stone, and you have to pay $11 for stone when you buy it, and that is because of the high transport fee. And this is not there when you only make this internal trade. And with this flag you can remove the foreign trade. So if you only want to get roof tiles from inside, from your other region, then you can deactivate this allow foreign trade, and you only get the roof tiles from other region, and then you pay less money. And and the other region, I reckon they will get the money. So this is one thing. And the other important thing is, there was this very strong price drop when you had only few trades, for example wooden parts or shields, because you had joiner that was very busy producing, and then after a short while the price dropped down to 1, and you couldn't sell any more stuff. And now this is much slower. It doesn't drop down to 1, maybe to half of the price, but it takes much longer. So I didn't have problems with price drops anymore after the second update. And yeah, so you can concentrate of exporting some things, and you can sell them, and it's quite okay. And the price for these trade routes, they have risen exponentially. First they were in the normal branch, they were rather low, the prices for trade routes, and that would a lot of players who like to play it rather hard, said it is too easy to make a lot of money. And then in the first update of the beta branch, the prices increased exponentially. When you bought one trade route, the next one would be double the price at least. And that was much too high. And then now it was lowered again, so it increases with every route that you buy, but not as much. Yeah, and I think those are the most important changes about the trading. And yeah, very important change, the ale consumption has been lowered. So to get up to level 3 houses, you need the tavern need fulfilled, and to do this you need ale. And up to now every family used 1 ale barrel per month. And that was really hard to get, because you really had to grow a lot of barley to get enough ale for your whole village. And therefore the ale consumption was lowered to a third of a barrel per month, and now it's much better. And I think it is good for the health of your families as well, if they drink less beer. And the trees grow slower. Before, the trees grew in something like 1 or 1.5 years from planting to full grown and being able to be harvested, and right now it is slower. I don't know how much slower, so we have to find out. And maybe you need more foresters, and one way to fight this, if you have, let's see here, you can see it here, they cut down the whole area. Before this was all forest, and as it is slower now, you have more this problem of the whole wood production area is empty. Then you can move all your people, you can just leave it there and move all the people to a different area, like here, where the trees already have regrown. And yeah, so like that you can have several areas, and if it becomes too empty, you just move all your workers from one location to a different location. And then they changed the marketplace. It should work much better than before, and you get a new feature. And before it was like that every family or every working place that had produced something that could be sold at the marketplace was free to open the market stall. But for example, when we had the berry collectors, the forager hut, and in winter times they don't have any more berries in their storage, and therefore their market stall was empty. Or if you fired them, then the market stall was empty too. And now you can tell the forager hut, no, I don't want you to set up a market stall. And the same with the vegetable houses here, like this, with the vegetable gardens. They are able to set up a market stall, and big part of the year they don't even have vegetables to sell, so you can deactivate their allowance to set up a market stall. This is this icon here with this small market stall. Usually it's yellow, it's all activated, so you have to go through all your burgage plots, for example, with vegetables, and deactivate it. And the best way to get your market to work really good should be when you let the workers of your storehouse and the granary do the marketplace. And the best way is if the granary and the storehouse is very close by the marketplace. So in this town it is not the best way. I should have placed those granary and storehouses here, and maybe I can still do it because we have some place here. And then you hire a lot of people at those storehouses and granaries, and let only them set up a market stall. And if you have, for example, a bakery in a burgage plot, then you can allow this family to set up a marketplace. Yeah. Okay, that's about it. And the last thing we can enjoy is the new lady in the visit mode. Here she is. And she always turns her back to us like her male counterpart. And you get her when we can just walk a little bit through our village. You get her when you play with the green lady as your avatar. Only then. Yeah, and I'm really happy that we got a second figure to roam around our village.
Look here.
And hopefully we will get more person finally.
Look here.
Okay. That's it for this update.
Slides in all the land.
I wish you a lot of fun with Manor Lords and a wonderful day. Thank you for watching and all the best. Till next time. Tschüss.